Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit TRE.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
Good morning. It is Tuesday the 29th of August. Listening to Viewpoint with me, Giles Brown, live from the studios of TRE Talk Radio, your voice in Spain, with you for the next 2 hours, joined in the studio by live guests. We have a panel of guests on today. If you want to get involved with this morning's show, then here are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And before I get to the papers this morning,
The weather forecast is brought to you by Liberty Seguros. Liberty Seguros gives you now €50 cash back for every new car, home or insurance policy you take out. But hurry, this offer is valid until the 27th of November only.
The weather on Talk Radio Europe. Find us at TRE.radio.
and a quick look at what your weather is doing today. Starting off with Gibraltar today, few clouds around. Temperature is currently 21. The high is going to be 30 today. Hello, Mallorca. Good morning to Mallorca, 24 degrees. Cloudy at the moment, winds from the northwest, which are moderate. Your high today is 23. Ibiza, 26 degrees at the moment. You've got light northerly winds, a few clouds around this morning, remaining dry, a high of 28. Denia, 23 degrees, sunny, winds from the southwest, which are light. Your high today being 29. That's Denia. Alicante, 24 degrees. Northwesterlies, light today. Sunny day in prospect with a high of 31. Might be some rain around tomorrow, some of it quite heavy. That is Alicante. Meanwhile, in Murcia, 23 degrees is your temperature. Light westerlies, a high of 34. Almeria, 25 degrees, a mixture of sunshine and cloud, but remaining dry, with very light northerly winds. Your high today in Almeria is 30. Granada, good morning to you, 18 degrees, light southerlies, again, mixture of sunshine and cloud, but remaining dry. Your high today is 31. Malaga, Costa del Sol, 23 degrees, northwesterlies, which are light. The high today in Malaga is 29 degrees. And finally, Gibraltar, 21 degrees on the Rock, a few clouds around, but nothing to write home about. Light westerlies, remaining dry. The high today on the Rock is 30 degrees, and that's your weather.
The weather on Talk Radio Europe. Find us at TRE.radio.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
Yes, indeed. Right, then let's have a look at the front pages today, see what's making the front pages in the UK this morning. Flights fiasco to go on for days, warns the front page of the Daily Mail. It predicts that thousands of people from the UK will be stranded around the globe as a knock-on effect from yesterday's air traffic control failure. The headline in Daily Express is Days of Chaos, as a picture of travellers at Heathrow sleeping on the floor, their luggage piled up around them. Meanwhile, how could a meltdown like this be possible, asked the Times. In an analysis piece, it says senior government and security sources have ruled out a cyber attack by a hostile state. It suggests officials know what the issue is, but do not yet understand why the disruption was so widespread. In its editorial column, The Eye is prompted to wonder, does nothing in Britain work properly? It argues the shutdown is the latest blow to patriotic pride, pointing out that there's a sense the UK is worn out and creaking at the seams. It's not the only one. Right, there's anger in The Guardian about an announcement by ministers that they will relax house building rules, which are intended to prevent excess water pollution. A spokesperson for Greenpeace is quoted as saying, who would look at our sickly, sewage-infested rivers and conclude that what they need is weaker pollution rules. But an unnamed construction industry source offers the opposing view, telling the paper this is undoubtedly good news for Britain's housing building supply. The Telegraph has an interview with the UK's most senior police officer, Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley, in which he says he will not allow officers to support woke causes whilst on duty. These include taking the knee, flying the rainbow flag, or wearing badges supporting environmental groups. Sir Mark states, "I'm fairly narrow-minded on this. There are very few causes policing should be attached to. Plans to close ticket offices at hundreds of railway stations across England preoccupy the Daily Mirror. Axe will hit elderly and the disabled is the headline. The paper, which is running a campaign to keep the offices open, says many train firms have carried out assessments of the impact the closures will have. Concerns include the possibility that vulnerable customers may be exploited by criminals as they try to use ticket machines." The Financial Times wades into the ongoing controversy surrounding Luis Rubiales, the Spanish Football Federation president, who kissed a female player, Jenny Hermoso, on the lips at the Women's World Cup final. The paper argues the kiss has come to encapsulate what women's football has always been up against and believes it should be an enough moment which results in fundamental change. Finally, The Sun has the latest developments in the case of a solid gold toilet, which was stolen from Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire in 2019. The lavatory, an artwork which is worth £5 million, that's a lot of lolly for a loo, is taken in an early morning raid while on display at an exhibition. The paper reveals that the police have now passed a file to prosecutors who will decide whether any of the suspects can be charged. Gold Lou done it is the headline. Those headlines again, I don't make this up. Those headlines again, front pages from the top. The Metro, great picture of Carnival, obviously Notting Hill over the bank holiday weekend. Huge crowds celebrate Europe's greatest carnival. Air traffic, computer chaos though. Also flights fiasco to go on for days. That's the Daily Mail. Daily Telegraph, chaos all week as air traffic control fails, and a picture of Rubiales because his mother has started a hunger strike. Daily Star, some mamas do have them. This is Rubiales, the Daily Star, reporting that Rubiales' mother has gone on hunger strike. Peak cringe as Spain kiss creeps mother goes on hunger strike in church. They've got a picture of mummy, bad boy, and quote-unquote footy snog. Meanwhile, it's the Star, people, okay? Meanwhile, the Eye, travel chaos for the last day for days as air traffic fair grounds flights. The Times, thousands stranded in air traffic control chaos. The Express, days of chaos after air traffic control meltdown. The Sun, get me out of air, thousands delayed in plane hell. The Guardian, rivers at risk as Gove rips up rules on new housing. Financial Times, travellers brace for more delays after air traffic faults bring holiday turmoil. Finally, the Mirror, train firms admit Axe will hit elderly and disabled. And those are your headlines. This Tuesday, the 29th of August.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And I'm joined in the studio by Andres Gallardo and Anna Mackenzie. Good morning, panel.
Good morning, Giles.
Good morning, Giles. Good to have you with us. Right, before we get going, and we'd like to hear your points on any of I've been mentioning, but before we get going on today's show, I thought a little musical interlude.
The back row of the plan.
And I got that completely wrong. Let's do that again.
It started with a kiss.
Yes, indeed. It started with a kiss by Hot Chocolates. Now then, it's the story that has been making the national and international news in Spain. And as you were just hearing, even the Daily Star reporting that Rubiales' mother is now gone on hunger strike in the fine municipality of Motril, which is a place, if you get a chance to visit, anyway.
I think we should start
Right, come on.
congratulating the Spanish team for winning the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something that is completely overshadowed by this whole affair. And the achievement has been amazing. They've beaten teams like Sweden and Netherlands and the favourites, England. Great achievement. Well done, girls. It's been brilliant. And we're very proud of that team.
And, you know, women's football in Spain has come a long, long way. Used to having crowds. I mean, the Clásico, the female version of the Clásico, was held at Nou Camp a couple of years ago. 96,000 people, broke all the records for participation or viewing at a women's football event. And then, at the crowning moment of glory, this happens.
Wow. Rubiales.
Right, so tell us a bit, because you know a bit of the backstory of Rubiales, who he is, where he comes from, because I was unaware of the fact that he comes from a political family.
He comes from his father was a socialist member. He was the mayor of Motril. He was high in the Junta Andalucía as well. So he comes from a socialist family. He was a mediocre football player. He should have never got the position as the head of the FA. His tenure as a head of the FA has been constantly wrapped up in scandal. Should have resigned ages ago. Should have been booted off ages ago. He was the one who single-handedly sacked the manager in the middle of a World Cup. We sent the performance of the team down and we got knocked off. He's the one who signed up the Super Cup, the Spanish Super Cup, to Saudi Arabia. Now it's being played in Saudi Arabia.
Always a strange
for
one, that one, isn't it?
Incredible amount of money, and allegedly some commissions being paid there, all brokered by Piqué, who was the ex-husband of Shakira, the singer. His whole tenure has been a disaster.
This gets better by the second, this does.
Absolutely. And he stayed there because he manages an incredible amount in the budget. He's the one who dishes out the money to all the regional football federations, and all the regional people support him there because the money that is allocated by him, and that's the reason why he's got this superpower. If we go to the events of the World Cup, the uncivic and distasteful thing that he did in the royal box in front of the Queen and the daughter, to me, was worse than the kiss.
It's the grabbing of the nether regions.
Yes, I mean that. I'm sorry. I mean, it's lack of education, lack of everything. I mean, a guy in his position, one of the things he should hold is how to behave, because he represents the whole world of football in Spain, that goes from children to professional players. It's a wide spectrum. So he has to be very conscious of his position, and that, to start with that one, that was terrible. But as I said, his history has been terrible ever since he started at his position. Then we go to the kiss. Now, you can't do that. As simple as that. That is absolutely, completely out of place. I mean, if you go to the context, you can say they were excited, they won the World Cup and everything else, but to kiss a girl on the lips like that, and holding their head in that way, is, if anything, abuse of power and lack of taste. From there to go on to, was it a sexual aggression? Oof. I've asked you that question earlier, Giles, and you also had the same expression to say, woof. Well, would you go that far? That's a question that maybe your listeners want to have an opinion. I personally don't think it should be classed as sexual aggression. And I'll tell you why. If now the General Attorney is taking the case to court, if this ever gets to court, and will have to be with the support of the player who received the kiss, of course, then the defense teams and everything else will have to, sort of put the case to court. There'll be an element of analyzing the relationship between him and this particular player, whether any WhatsApps or there any communications that indicated something different to a normal relationship player, head of the FA. All of these things will come out in court, and how much mileage has that got in court? I don't know. I don't think it should be treated as sexual aggression. I think it should be treated as a guy who is a complete idiot. I'm sorry to use the word idiot, but he is an idiot, and he should go. I mean, he should have gone ages ago, but now we've got the opportunity of getting rid of him. And the reason why he's still there is because his package as a head of the FA is incredible. He earns €1 million a year. He's got all expenses paid. He's got a chauffeur-driven car. He's got an office with 3 secretaries and first-class travel all over the world. So you don't want to give up doing very little to be having said that. So you won't want to just lose that job that quickly, and that's the reason why he's sticking there. That's my opinion.
Eleanor. I think Andrea's put it, just encapsulated that.
Yes,
pretty well.
I mean, I've been following it up. For me, it seems to be a pivotal moment for women's football in Spain, but also for women's football in general, what happened there. It revealed a toxic environment which was evident, had been there for quite some time in the Spanish national team, with Vilda not being popular coach. Many of the women who would have been in the team actually tweeting and posting that in the days before the World Cup and before the final match, that they were on holiday in Ibiza or because they wouldn't play for him as a coach. And then we had Rubiales with, and I agree, the crotch grab, frankly, in front of, when you're seated 2 seats away from the Infanta Sofia and the Queen, was it is almost worse. I mean, worse than the kiss, because it's just such a kind of gross break of protocol and just of civility and good manners. And I don't see what place it had in reaction. As a reaction, it was a very masculine reaction to excitement, but certainly shouldn't have been come from somebody in his position.
Who's representing Spain on the global stage.
Yes, and then, of course, he grabs Hermoso. Yeah. It was the way that he grabbed her head and sort of forced his face on her, which is where I think the whole sexual aggression term accusation has come from. But I have
what do you think? Do you think it's sexual aggression? I mean, I
think there's a spectrum of sexual aggression as the women's movement has come to understand it. So in a way, it is an aggressive action, but it probably seems relatively mild to most of us. But I'd say that there is a spectrum of using that term, and it's understanding where that is on a spectrum, that it's nuanced with sexual aggression. Why did he choose her?
That's a question that requires an answer. Why her? I have to say, the whole medal giving situation there, I think I was surprised the hugging and kissing of the neck of quite a few of the players. I thought that was a little bit too much. With this particular player, then even went further. I think he should have known how to behave and to be representative of a body like the FA,
Absolutely.
The Spanish FA. He doesn't know how to behave. Obviously, he's a guy who's but then from there to sexual aggression. The thing is, in Spanish law now, an aggression, there's no difference between one or the other. It's all aggression. So, because you said, well, it's a mild one, but we don't have that difference now.
No, I know.
So, is it or is it not?
It is problematic. I guess that if you've got a blanket term and there's no degrees observed within the law, within it, then you've either got to use that term or not. And I think that most women, given what has gone on, and it's not just that particular occasion, he just highlighted the environment that's been going on. I watched a video yesterday, it was on Twitter, of one coach with the Spanish team grabbing the cheeks of all the women, squeezing them and then pulling their ears, giving them a bit of slap on the side of the head. Imagine if you did that to the men on the Spanish national team. I don't think they'd stand for it.
Indeed. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because also the way that Rubiales, when he had the chance last Friday, when he did the speech in front of the extraordinary meeting of the Spanish Football Association, which we saw, and you could, when the camera panned to members of the Football Association sitting out there, you know, big guys who are working on a day-to-day basis, you know, on the Spanish Football Association, there was a kind of like stunned look that they couldn't believe that he was saying, because everybody thought he was going to go. It was Dominic Cummins in the Rose Garden moment from a couple of years back. We've got a caller on the line. 952 78 4000, of course, is the phone number. Morning, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling? What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Oh, good morning. It's Nina.
Morning, Nina.
Can anyone relate how the girl reacted? Because if somebody kissed me and I did not want it, I would wipe my lips across my wrist to get rid of any of, to emotionally show that I did not want this kiss. And then, if you went to a children's football match and the one of the little boys did the goal, it would be an emotional thing. I am so proud of you. So very proud of you, Sunshine. But all the press, to my mind, is just saying he's a dirty old man. And in all honesty, he was over-emotional. And how did the woman react? Was that on camera?
I will have to.
Yeah, there was a pat at the back after the kiss from. I think both of them patted each other. I didn't see her wiping her lips or anything like that. No. But you have to put a bit of context to it. It's not the same if I just planted a kiss to Elle right now than if you just won the World Cup and you're excited because, you know, it's a great victory and maybe the emotions run a little bit, you know. I mean, that you have to put the context in it. That's why I am thinking that perhaps if that ends up getting to court, that will be one of the attenuants.
Okay, just checked out the kiss on video because you can find it. Yeah, and you can see this. So basically, it's in the line when they're giving out. You haven't seen it in the line when they're giving out the trophies. He hugs her. He grabs her by both sides of the head. He gives her a kiss on the lips, and then he sort of slaps her on the back, and she walks off.
This is what he should have done. He should have just patted her on the back.
Well, he gives her
I just feel that I have to put a little spoke in to defend the man. He was obviously highly emotional. Okay, that's all I've got to say.
Nina, thanks for that. Going last lines again. Good morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please? Morning, caller. You're live on TRE.
Kate, Costa Blanca.
Morning to you, Kate.
Morning. I want to pick up on the last point, which is what was the lady's reaction. My picture of it all was that the lady came out better as a lady than the gent came out as a gent. I.e., if someone behaves appallingly to you in public, and that you can't get a much more public situation than that, where the world's television cameras are on you, it would be understandable to slap his face or etc., but she didn't. She behaved with some kind of dignity.
Yeah.
He did not at any point. And when I was listening to you talking earlier, describing what had happened earlier, it seemed to me that he was behaving like a third-rate film star. You know, it was a big smacker on the lips. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Not publicly, not publicly to the millionth degree.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. You don't kiss people on the lips, unless you're kind of with them, sort of thing, do you? I mean, it's not. I can't see how it's. I know people are going, oh, well, it's not really sexual assault, but it's really inappropriate and unwanted.
Yeah, someone used the word nuanced. I think the one word you would not use about that man's behaviour was nuanced.
That's true. Thanks very much for that. Okay, the other thing is people say, oh, well, she didn't seem to sort of react, or she didn't sort of slump across the face.
She do?
Well, the thing is, when something happens like that, you're kind of shocked, aren't you? Like, I can't believe you just did that. And perhaps later she was hardly going to go, and then 5 minutes later walk up to him and sort of kick him in the whatsits, on the stage. But it's on the, it's on the stage. It's on where they're getting their medals, and it's a 2-second thing, and he grabs her on both sides of the face and plants a smacker on her lips. So,
and he followed her into the dressing room, as I understand it, and made a quip about how he was arranging their wedding in Ibiza.
Right. Okay. I mean, sorry, Andreas.
I think that we all agree. I haven't heard anyone disagreeing with this, that it was inappropriate, it was wrong, and he should go. And this could have been solved very easily by him issuing an apology and resigning from his post. And that would be what a gentleman should be doing. What he did then at the meeting, in front of everybody, saying, I'm not quitting, I'm going to stay here, and this, that is just someone who is like, he's near death and he's trying to, salvage.
He's tone deaf to anything the social media's been saying. But when we got another call on the line, morning caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. It's Sharon.
Morning, Sharon.
Hello. Morning, everybody. First of all, lovely to hear Eloise. I think she's very balanced and very intelligent, really. So it's nice to hear her again.
And Andre's obviously, of course.
Well, most of the time.
I'm disagreeing with you.
Right. What jumps out at me, I don't know whether I've missed anything in the Spanish press, but the silence from the PP and Vox, they've said nothing. Why? Why didn't they intervene and say this is disgraceful behaviour, he should be sacked? Silence. Is this what we're going to get if they get voted in? Women's rights down the drain within months? That's just the question I'm throwing out there.
Because obviously Sanchez has got his way. I mean, this is the thing, is it? Sorry, Andres.
No. Just a correction. The PP did actually issue a statement saying that obviously they disagree with it, and he should be resigning.
What? One statement, really?
How many do you need?
Well, we need a little bit more backup for the wonderful team that won the World Cup, all of which has been taken away from them.
That's why I started the programme saying congratulations to the team, because the focus is gone to what happened, and we should be focusing on the achievement.
And I will say this, you won't agree with me, Andreas, but Sanchez has put into place a lot of laws to ensure that women's rights are more equal than they were before. I know you're going to quote me the example of the bad law that was put into place, but that was corrected about was it rape or something? That was corrected. That was a stupid mistake. But generally, Sanchez has pushed for more equality within the Spanish system, and I think this is one indication of how he's managed to do it. And I just find that Vox, complete silence from Vox, God help us if they get into power I don't think they will, but with any power sharing. PP I could probably tolerate, but I'm not sure about.
Vox would probably make it compulsory to snog women athletes.
Yeah, exactly.
Before, after, and during the event.
Yeah. That's my point anyway. Thank you,
Sharon. Thanks for that. They're talking about this whole situation. Is because in the speech on Friday, he kind of doubled down, and he was like, these false feminists, and I'm taking a stand here, as if it was almost like he was justifying, and he was almost like saying, this whole situation is an indication of where we are as this great Spanish nation with these false feminists making these spurious claims against, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm a dinosaur, and proud of it, basically, and enough is enough, and it was quite extraordinary.
Yes, I mean, there's been all kinds of rather bizarre moves on the part of the whole federation, with threats to sue Hermosa and the rest of the team for making the claims. How did they get to that point where they thought that they could even consider suing the women who were complaining?
But does this panel? Well, here we go. This panel and listeners, does this actually highlight? And it's a funny thing, sport. It's supposed to be something that brings everybody together, that deflects from the cares of everyday world. But my goodness, it's thrown Spain into a harsh light. Let's go to the lines. 1 second before I go off get on my soapbox. Good morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, Giles. It's Teresa. I'm on my soapbox. I'd just like to warn you. The fact that I've only just joined in, so I'm not sure if you covered this. The fact his mother is on hunger strike in a church just typifies the problem that she doesn't think it's bad behaviour. So if your mother doesn't think that grabbing your own crotch in the royal box, then kissing a woman who says she doesn't want to be kissed, who the mother now says is lying, there's no hope, is there?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it's indeed a very interesting and confusing point, but it's really polarising.
Well, I'm of the opinion that if his own mother thinks that he did nothing wrong, then there's more wrong with Spanish society than I thought there was.
Yeah, but all Spanish mothers love their sons, and she's going to defend her son.
Well, yeah, I love my son, but I think I would say, do you not think that maybe you should have waited till later to do that thing? Because that wasn't the time or the place.
True.
And I still love you, but you are a bit of a head for doing it.
Well put indeed, and well soapboxed indeed, Teresa. Thank you for the point. Thank you for those points. 952 78 4000 is the phone number. You think he should go then? Oh, well, told me he should go. He's already coming in on the WhatsApps. WhatsApp +34 645 99 67 95. Coming in on the WhatsApps. Morning, Paul. The return of Viewpoint. Needs to pinch the grandkids' toy phones and have a pretend argument with myself. Okay. It was a total abuse of power, says Jay. Something which women have been going through in the workplace for decades, and this was her workplace. He may just about got away with it, with an abject apology, but his response has made everything a million times worse. The guy is a pig. There you go. That's Jay not pulling any punches.
Yes. I don't think you can say that Spanish society is a machista society, like a blanket. I mean, any society, whether it's Spanish or any other country, is work in progress. We sort of behave and act differently, and the education is different, and things are improving in Spain. So you can't just blanket say, you're all machistas in Spain and that's it. I think that, there is an element of that, but that's improving.
952 78 4000. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, my name's Alan, phoning from Benalmadena.
Morning, Alan.
Hi. No, I just wanted to say that when this Luis Rubiales was holding his crotch in the royal box, we also have to mention that the Infanta is a minor. She's not an adult yet, so I think that's one thing that we have to bear in mind.
Yeah.
I've also read that previously, for the structure of this of the Spanish FA, the regional directors previously didn't have a salary, but under Luis Rubiales, he's arranged to pay them each, I think it was 100,000 euros a year.
That's correct, yeah.
So when he called this press conference or this meeting on Friday, before he went in, he already spoke with all of them, all of his mates, all the people that have got a lot of money coming in thanks to him. And when he found out that they were all behind him, then that's when he decided not to resign. But in my opinion, I think we need to look at the people who were applauding him in that conference, and also decide, well, do we want these people to remain in the FA as well?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? But if you look at, historically, football organisations, if you look at some of the shenanigans of UEFA and FIFA, they've not exactly got sort of whiter than white records or should be held up as beacons of morality and decency, should they? Really? I mean, look at the whole thing with Blatter and the World Cup going to Russia and the World Cup going to Qatar and bungs and bribes, etc., etc.
Yeah, and if you look at this meeting that there was yesterday. There was not a woman in sight. It was all men, middle-aged men, deciding on the future of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the government's already said something about this, but it's the perfect opportunity to change that.
Well, totally, and I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, it's just sport, and it's reading too much into it." But sport reflects society, doesn't it? And sporting occasions have been made. I'm thinking about Mexico '68, the Olympic athletes doing the Black Power salutes. I'm thinking going even further back. The Berlin in '36. Jesse Owens dispelling the Aryan myths. And so, society as a society, we look at sport to reflect the best in us. And so this sort of behaviour is going absolutely opposite.
Yeah, there's a lot of money involved. In the Spanish FA, a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why he won't, Luis Rubiales won't let go of his post. And the people below him, they owe him thousands and thousands of euros each year. And but in my opinion, every person who clapped him in that audience should also have to step down. I'm not saying maybe sack them, but put them in a lower position and let's bring up some female regional directors. Why not? There's women's football as well.
Yeah, indeed there is. Thank you very much for your call in. Going to take a quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Talk Radio Europe.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Yes, indeed. Always live, always lively. If you want to get involved with today's show, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And we're talking that kiss. Andres.
What's undeniable is that the football world is male-dominated, and it has been for years and years. We have to understand that the success of female football is quite a recent event. It's something I remember in 2009, a friend of mine, a daughter was playing professional football, and she asked me to go and see the match. It was first division. It was against Barcelona, so big match in those terms. And there was an empty stadium, and only the parents were there looking at their kids. So these full stadiums and everything else is quite a recent phenomena. And as women's football will take more presence, I think the boards will start seeing now more female presence in the management and everything else. But it's work in progress, as I said before. You can't just overnight just sack the whole board of men and put all women. But slowly, I think that will, because it's been a very successful World Cup. There's going to be more money going into women's football, and that will create a different platform, and we'll see hopefully more women being representative of the players and the clubs and the tournaments and everything else. But we have to understand that this is a recent phenomenon, and yes, traditionally, I think it's the same in any other FA in Europe, certainly in Italy, and I believe in the UK as well, in England. It's a male-dominated management board.
Well, I mean, Italy, you had Silvio Berlusconi, who was president of Monza.
Well, there you go.
And some of the things he said is, you get promoted. Well, he said, if you get promoted, I will be getting ladies of negotiable virtue in the dressing room for you. And you know, so therefore, we have that whole. It's that whole, isn't it? That whole old boys in Chufe bastion of networks that we need to, which slowly but surely are changing. But sports bodies, perhaps more than anything else, are less open to scrutiny because they tend to be closed shops. You know, because sports bodies don't bring in, the Spanish FA aren't going to bring in people from industry, from technology companies who have more more experience of working with women in their business. I know it's changing, and I know you have women working as physios in management, etc. But
yes, I mean that will come. The reason why it's a closed shop is because of the budget, as your caller said before. I mean all these regional heads of the FA, they depend on the money he dishes out, and on the basis of that's why they support him. He has. The credit where is due. During his tenure, the finances, especially his, but they've been, sort of apparently well distributed in the lower leagues and the lower levels of Spanish football. So there's been an improvement on that side. But in terms of the management of it, it is a closed shop and is male dominated, and these hopefully will change now, seeing the commercial, especially because of the commercial success of the women's football. Then when money starts going into that side, will improve in terms of equality.
I don't know if you sorry.
Sorry, no, I was agreeing with Andres that certainly once more money comes in, suddenly the boards will wake up. But it is an evolving process, as you said, the popularity of women's football. Really, an awful lot of it is down to this World Cup that has just happened. I mean, yes, it was becoming more popular before, but this World Cup caused a sudden explosion of interest in women's football. And so the culture will have to change. The men are going to have to change. And of course, even in men's football, the football players themselves, they're not all terribly well behaved either. So there's, it doesn't matter where you look.
Yeah, I know.
At football, there's terrible behaviour.
You've got Dani Alves in jail at the moment for presumably having raped someone in a nightclub in Barcelona. And he's a top World Cup winner, player, multimillionaire, and they obviously behave thinking they can do anything they like to anyone they like because who they are. They're big stars, millionaires, and they go to a nightclub and they think they've got the right to, sort of rape someone. Well, no. The answer is no. He's in jail, and if he's convicted, he'll spend a long time in jail.
Yeah, it's an interesting one indeed. I did also just been seeing some more videos coming in, people sending in. Thanks very much. I didn't realise that he actually also slapped her on the bum as well as she walked off. Which is a video I've just seen as well. Yeah, no, here we go.
But none of his behaviour has been any good. I mean, he's been dreadful. There's a thing called protocol, Giles.
Yeah.
And when you're the president of such a body, you have to have certain.
As you said, he's exactly. Going live to the lines again. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, morning, Giles, and everybody. It's Sharon again. I would agree with Andreas. Yes, I have agreed with Andreas that you cannot assume that the whole of Spanish society is like this. And when you look at the number of dads out in the evenings or out for meals with families, the amount of childcare they're taking on now as opposed to a few years ago, things are improving. And we've got plenty of Andrew Tates in British society, if you look at it. There's the whole movement in the UK and in America, anti-women movements, So I don't think we can be too... I don't want to take away the wonderful thing, the winning the World Cup from the girls. And they will just go on from strength to strength, hopefully, and will sort out their problems with the leagues and things. And I don't want to take that away from them. And I think if you look at British society, we still have an awful lot of domestic violence, and Andrew Tate's in our midst. So we can't really preach to the Spanish. Thank you.
Thanks for the call in. I was about to bring another caller on, but they just went off. I mean, that's the sad thing, isn't it? This whole thing, which should have been a crowning moment of glory for the Spanish Women's World Cup. You know, after the trials and tribulations they had in the Euros, where they didn't have all their fit players, etc., and didn't perform particularly well. And you know, one of the English press, or the British press, no, it's the English press, who was so full of this whole only a fool would bet against the Lionesses roaring to victory, and then suddenly they were made to look very second-rate by a Spanish team who absolutely bossed them during the finals. And that's the thing that we should be celebrating. That's the thing that should be inspiring a whole generation of young girls and women to take up sport in any case, you know, and then something like this comes up and completely overshadows it.
Yes, and it doesn't exactly inspire young girls, young women to get involved in a sport where they feel that they might be treated like dirt by coaches and the people that are in charge, the organisations in charge of the sport. The game.
Not only the girls, the parents of the girls might not want them to go into that. You know, so the repercussions of what's happening is as Giles said, and I said at the beginning, we should be celebrating. We should be looking at it, developing that side, the female side of the sport, because it's commercially viable. We've seen it during the World Cup, and it's great pride for the country. And now we are ashamed of being Spanish because this idiot has behaved the way he's behaved, and as a president of the FA, he should follow protocol. The Queen was there, the underage daughter was also there. He has a responsibility towards the players, towards the coach team, towards all of these things that he's just hasn't know how to handle. And when you're the president of such a body, one of the first things you have to learn is that you have to follow protocol, as well as managing the budget.
952784000. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hello, my name's Brian, and I'm calling from Antiquera.
Morning, Brian.
Just going back to the
hello, Brian.
Raping somebody.
I missed all that. Sorry, Brian. You went. The line just dropped out. So I heard I'm Brian and I'm from Antiquera, and then it went dead.
Yeah, right. Alvarez, the footballer who has been accused of rape. I noticed that again, he is the named person, but never the person who's accusing is named. So you've got all these people who are having their lives destroyed by people who accuse them, but they never name the accuser.
But that's the judge's decision, not anyone else. The judge decides whether the name should be printed or not. So it's not a conspiracy here or anything. So that's the reason why there's no name on the person who's been supposedly assaulted, because the judge in a case can decide secrecy, so no one is allowed to print the name or to know who it is. So she cannot be accosted or influenced in any way. They may have an outcome in the final trial.
But how many people recently have been named as being a rapist or anything like that, and they've been proven innocent, and then we find out later on that the person who accused them has got away scot-free or has raked in a load of cash from the newspapers?
There's a different thing between what's reported and how the media treats it to what the judge decides, and the name of the. That's why we always say allegedly, because we start from the provision that he's innocent until proven guilty. The reason why he's in prison.
That's not true. The media don't presume he's innocent until he's proven guilty.
No, I mean, the reason why he's in jail, because otherwise he would be awaiting trial in the street. The reason why the judge said he has to remain in jail is because he could flee the country, go to Brazil, where he comes from, and there's no extradition treaty with Spain. So he could flee the justice. That's why he's in jail awaiting trial. But until the trial takes place, the law says he's innocent until proven guilty. Whether you believe that or not, that's a personal decision of yours, whether you believe it or not. But the rules of the game is what it is. And we've gone silent.
It's easy to have gone silent. Right then, almost there. Thank you, Andres. 952-78-4000, the phone number, studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official, and you can WhatsApp me on +34 645 99 67 95. Viewpoint always live and always lively. Going up to, I'm just seeing some more other bits and pieces that UEFA apparently were looking at the prospect of banning all Spanish football teams from competing in European football. Can you imagine?
Just for one kiss, huh? I think that would be taken a bit too far, banning the teams from,
it's, they have the sanction to do that. So, I mean,
I think that would be ridiculous.
This is football. This is UEFA and this is FIFA.
But UEFA seems to be incapable of making a sensible decision at any time.
UEFA can't even make a decent. I wouldn't trust UEFA to make me a decent coffee than anything else.
If this guy was half decent, with all the damage that he's causing, he should resign and go.
And with those bongos, we're going to go to the break, and then we're back with the second half of Viewpoint with me, Giles Brown.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown. Live comment and discussion with studio guests.
Viewpoint.
Always live, always lively. Today's Viewpoint with me, Giles Brown, joined in the studio by Ellen Mackenzie and Andres Gallardo. We've talked about the kiss. And if you want to get involved with the show, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Yes, indeed. There's a way to get in contact with us on that one. Let's move away from, shall we? Should we get away from the kiss? Because I think we've covered that one in some depth, panel.
We have. Let's move on.
Okay, if Andrew says we have to. Just want to look at some of the, and here are some of the main points that have been crossing the radar. 10 things you need to know according to this week, or the week. Air disruption after meltdown. Heathrow Airport and its services will remain significantly disrupted. Today, after air traffic controllers across the UK experienced a technical fault. Even worse, it's apparently affecting flights to Dublin as well, you see, even though the UK, even so that is... Dave Hodgson is checking that we haven't been. We've got a bit of a water problem. Not me personally, but no, we're all right. There's none coming to the studio, Dave. My waterworks are fine, Dave. Thank you. Live radio, ladies and gentlemen. Also, barbers are going to offer heart checks. NHS will offer blood pressure in barber shops so that men can have a test while they get their haircuts. British men have been urged to get a grip of their unhealthy lifestyles. So something for the weekend, sir, like a stent. Meanwhile, Trump sets for Super Tuesday Eve. A judge has set the date for Donald Trump's trial on charges he tried to overturn the results of the 2020 US presidential election on the eve of Super Tuesday, a potentially pivotal point in the 2024 presidential race. More than a dozen US states hold their presidential primaries on the 5th of March. But starting the trial the day before may not stop the steamroller that is Trump's campaign. Meanwhile, rail companies have admitted passengers will be put at risk by being swindled by crooks, and railway stations made to feel less safe than shutting ticket offices. This is in the Mirror. Meanwhile, And if you're trying to call in on the WhatsApp, we don't take calls in on WhatsApp, so please send a message rather than trying to call in. Thank you. Pressure on Starmer on economy. Dozens of leading economists are calling on Sir Keir Starmer to break with Conservative spending plans. In a letter seen by The Independent, 70 prominent academics say they are concerned after the party's programme for government and warn that failing to reverse cuts would deepen the poverty and hardship many are already facing. Metropolitan Police Commissioner says his officers will not be allowed to express support for the majority of causes whilst on duty because it's essential that they are impartial. Mark Rowley has said there are very few causes policing should be attached to, and he will not tolerate officers taking the knee, flying rainbow flags, or adorning their uniforms with badges that support environmental causes. However, he added that wearing a poppy in the autumn is perfectly acceptable. Michael Gove plans to rip up water pollution rules that environmental groups say are essential for protecting the country's rivers. Community pharmacies are closing at a rapid rate, with deprived areas worst affected. King Charles will launch an initiative aiming to bridge the gap between food waste and food need. And finally, sports stars are sweating over a physiotherapist's steamy memoir, in which she is set to reveal a string of affairs. This is in the Mail. Writing anonymously, the woman says she had relations with 2 male international football players and affairs with 2 of the world's leading tennis players, an England cricket star, and rugby players. Well,
she was busy.
She was busy. Yeah, we have a word for that. In the book entitled "The Sports Physio" is set to spark a guessing game about the identity of the woman and the sports stars involved when it is published on Saturday. So there you have it. If you have any thoughts on that, not sports physios, please. Then these.
What attracted my attention is, did you say the barbers are going to? What was the barber story?
Right, the barbers. So NHS will offer blood pressure checks in barber shops so that men can have a test. After a major study revealed that men are twice as likely to suffer heart attacks as women. Cardiologists said men can reduce their heart risk and add years to their life by taking steps as, and here we go, this is revolutionary, okay, so by taking steps such as swapping their pub session for a gym session.
Oh, very good. The thing is that if the barbers take your blood pressure, which I understand will happen,
yeah.
If I'm taking my blood pressure, that's me, my ignorance perhaps, is they said it was high or low, I wouldn't know what to do, or how to... do you know what I mean? You need a doctor to say it's high, you need to do this, or it's low, you need to do this sort of thing. So, for a barber to tell you what your blood pressure is,
well, you see, going back tradition.
I may be wrong, but
going back tradition. If you know your history, of course, you know the barber shops. I mean, they used to be a variety of ailments. They used to, search. That's why the band
were surgeons.
Exactly. So, I mean, not that half the barbers that I see, on the Riccardo Soriano, I'd want to get to do any surgery, because most of them look like, anyway, let's not even go there. But yes, maybe a course of leeches could be, what do you think? 952784000 on any of the above thoughts. Andreas, you're looking pensive.
Oh, I'm pensive. I'm thinking, what's the point of having a barber taking your blood pressure? As I said, the result of it, to me, wouldn't mean anything. Whether it's high, whether it's low, whether it's normal. Well, if it's normal, it's normal. But if it's high or low, I would not the action to take to correct it. That's what I'm trying to say. So will the barber say what I have to do?
It would have to be connected to a protocol in which, after you were given the blood pressure results, you then contacted NHS.
And they take it again?
And they would tell you what you should do. I suspect that it's an initiative because men are just so bad at having things like their blood pressure, any test,
any health check,
health checks are terrible. So the idea that perhaps, I would add to that cholesterol testing at the barbers, and then feed it into the health service, having got them in the barber shop to have a test of some kind, and then feed it into the actual health service. But as Andreas said, it has to be fed into something, because otherwise a barber and the client have no idea what the numbers actually mean.
Yeah, because there is the danger of asking your hairdresser about the loss of hair rather than going to dermatologist. So the hairdresser seems to know more than, or give you better advice. So you're not going to go to the barber who'll say, your blood pressure is high. I think you should, and someone might be sitting next to having his haircut saying, oh, my brother had high pressure and what he did was blah, blah, blah. And then you have sort of people playing and being doctors. That was this is the first time I hear it, so I haven't given it much thought. It's just my prompt reaction is to say maybe it's...
To be honest, having worked for a short while in the NHS, it sounds to me like one of those initiatives that somebody thought would be a fantastic idea and it would make good press.
Absolutely.
And nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen. Yeah, like the 300,000 houses that were going to build by Theresa May and not got built. But there you go. Yeah.
Talking of things that have been grabbing headlines recently, and see what I did here. But you can't. Yesterday, Suella Braverman decided to go on TV, like she does now and again. And as Stephen Ritson said, Suella Braverman is what happens when you feed Priti Patel after midnight, which I thought was a brilliant. I'm glad you like that as well. Yeah, indeed. So, she's saying because we were off for 2 weeks with Viewpoint, so there were a few bits and pieces that I missed. Which is obviously we had the Bibby Stockholm, which is the floating barge. They were going to put the illegal or the migrants on whilst they were processed, and they put 15 on there, and then they had to take them off because the barge was found to have Legionnaire's disease or the Legionnaire's bug on it, which is potentially fatal. And then it's also the fact that this barge is being come in from Australia, obviously part of a trade deal at $1 billion something for somebody else. And then yesterday, Braverman came on and said she was looking at all the prospects for doing things with what she calls illegal migrants, and she's now talking about ankle tags for them, so she can keep a track on them before we deport them. I think was basically what she said. We're talking about soul searching in the wake of that kiss in Spain about what society it is, and here we are with the Home Secretary saying we should put ankle tags on people who arrive on these shores not via the quote unquote the proper methods, and we're gonna put ankle tags on them. Andres,
look, it seems to me that there's all these ideas they come out with, and they're surrounded by people clapping, and they said, oh, let's get a barge, that's a great idea, and everyone clapped, yeah, and then it turns out the logistics of it is not going to work because the capacity of the boat, I think it was 500, and it's not even a drop in the ocean. Then you got now the ankle tags. What are you going to do with it? There is not a plan, a clear and plan of developing and managing immigration correctly. Everyone has got one idea one day, another day, but there is not a plan. And if I was British, I would be very, very disappointed with, I'm sorry to go to the B word, but with Brexit, because part of that was the control of the borders. Well, that was one of the main hits of the campaign. And now there is less control of the borders now than there was before, and there's no legal immigration from Europe practically, and you got all illegal immigration from other parts of the world. So it's a total. I would be very upset with the outcome of that, because people had a lot of those who believed in Brexit. They had a lot of hope for a better future, and they find themselves with a situation that is becoming unmanageable, and there's no plan in place to manage it, so it can only get worse.
No, there's certainly no plan in place. It's just pluck random ideas out of the air and hope that it appeals to our voter base. Looks like we're doing something. But really we are incapable of doing anything. And the way that the press presented, the British press, is you'd think that Britain was being invaded by refugees and immigrants, whereas the main continental European countries take far more people than Britain does. But it's portrayed as if Britain's being swamped.
Well, this is some of the language that Braverman herself used to talk about an invasion, and if you start tagging people, as it came up the other day. These are people who fled war zones. And so are you going to start tagging women and children as well? And also there's a brilliant video going around about some Albanians just showing how can they 2 easy steps to remove the ankle tag. So...
But the question that I'd like an answer for is... so you got an ankle tag and what? So what happens? They know where you are.
Yeah, stop you absconding apparently. So.
Okay, and so they know where you are and what?
Well, I think
precisely, Andres. And what?
And what? Okay, I know where that guy is. Okay, fine. Well, enjoy your day. It's the pointless exercises to keep, as you said, the voters happy, thinking that they are doing something. But I have to say, voters are not stupid, and they know what's happening, and they know what the problem is, and they know there is no plan, and they can only get worse.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it's not been a good week a couple of days for Braverman because obviously we had the Bibi Stockholm because it was this was as part of an effort to tackle the £6 million a day cost of housing asylum seekers in hotels, trying to move migrants to the Bibi Stockholm. But Sunday, Fire Brigades Union sent a legal threat to the Home Office, accusing the Minister of callous disregard for the safety of those on board, saying it was a fire risk. And then one of the government ministers said, well, the Fire Brigade Union is a well-known militant hotbed of leftist politics. And then Braverman says ministers are considering a range of options. We have a couple of thousand detention places in our existing removal capacity. We'll be working extensively to increase that, but it's clear we're exploring a range of options, all options, to ensure that that level of control over people so they can flow through our system safely to enable us to thereafter remove them from the United Kingdom. Now, that's an interesting thing she said, because it's basically saying, we're going to thereafter remove them from the United Kingdom. She, quote unquote, her her dream to have people on jets going to Rwanda. But to say that, the way that she said, enable us to thereafter remove them from the United Kingdom. Some of those people, presumably, we should be looking at people migrants coming to the UK with the possibility of being welcomed into the UK. Not there. We're going to tag you and then we get rid of you. But why don't we just shackle them while we're there? Why don't we just chain them up? Basically, Braverman, and say, right, there you go. 952 78 4000, the phone number. Andres.
Yeah, it's not that difficult to remove. It's not that easy to remove someone that is entered the country illegally. I know this because this is a problem that we have in Spain, and as you know, with Italy and Greece and everything, we see folks of illegal immigrants coming into the country, and they some of them come with no passport, so you don't really know what you send them back. There has to be an element of humanity in it, and then you also have to comply with international maritime law, with human rights, and on all of those things. It's not that easy to say, I'm going to remove you from the country. Off you go. Where do you send them, and how, and who pays for it? And all of those things have to be taken into account before you make a statement to the press and to the world to say we're going to remove them from the United Kingdom.
Going live to the lines. Interesting voice there, just going live to the lines. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hello, sorry, Giles, it's Sharon again.
I know, it's all right, Sharon.
Just something I feel quite strongly about is this distraction. To keep this in the limelight, to distract from all the seedy stuff that's going on in the background, regarding their own internal politics, like Nadine Dorries, and so many details we miss because we're not given them. Most people are probably aware by now, and this came from Stephen, so I'm assuming it's reliable, that Macron offered processing in Calais and they refused it. I just find that kind of gives the game away, really. If you keep it in the limelight, if you keep it in the forefront, it's to distract from all their disgusting lies and almost jest, really, from the public who aren't as fickle and as stupid as they think we are. And that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Sharon. And another gimmick. You're shaking your head.
No, well, I agree with Sharon. Yes, no, I agree with Sharon. I mean, the French did offer the British processing in Calais, and the British said no. Why?
Because we're taking back control of all.
Oh, yes, great. And the British have completely closed down any really legal routes. They claim that it's available, but it's not really, because you need passports and forms filled in. And as Andrea said, lots of people, refugees, don't have paperwork.
Going live to lines again. Morning, caller, live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles.
Alf. Good morning to you, sir.
I have to remember where I live. Benalmadena. Sunny Benalmadena.
Sunny Benalmadena.
And the winds died as well. So
glad to hear that. That's enough. So that's a quick location and weather report. Thank you. Right, Alf, viewpoint on this, please.
Yeah. Oh well, is it a distraction or is it just part of the process? And everybody keeps saying there is no plan. There's no plan to deal with the asylum seekers the way they should be, but there's plenty of plans that the Tories have got, which keeps heaping whose fault is this? Is it the asylum seekers coming in, illegal immigrants, as they keep on calling them? All this ankle tagging. They were showing it was a wrist tag that they were using, which is even more bizarre, because an ankle tag you can cover up with a pair of trousers. The wrist tags are like wearing a watch, so anybody can see them. So it's just mortification. I just don't understand how they think they can get away with it. But the real issue is every single day, not by the day, but over a period of time, every single day, 100 extra people get added to this list of people who haven't been processed. And they're going to spend another week. Well, they discussed the barge. How long's that been going? 6 weeks now, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
They'll discuss another one for another 2 weeks and another one for another 2 weeks. And in all that time, between 50 and 100 extra unprocessed people are joining the queue. Why? And we keep on saying it. Why don't they want to spend the money on processing the people? And the reason why they don't want the French to be involved, because it wasn't about the French processing them, it was about a joint venture where the French, because the French can't process people seeking asylum in the UK, but they can provide all of the buildings and everything that goes with it in order to speed it up. And the reason why they don't want that is because they don't want to be shown up for how few people they've got who are part of the processing arrangement. And we keep on saying this. Why aren't the British people saying to the British government, well, unfortunately it's because Johnson won the election and we've suffered it ever since. But the British people now, and Andreas, you're right, the electorate aren't stupid. They really aren't stupid. They may make some stupid decisions like Brexit, but they're not stupid people. As much as people didn't like what happened, they used their intelligence to vote us out of Europe because they thought it was good. And now we're suffering from everything. And by the way, being inside of Europe never controlled, if you listen to the arguments carefully, never controlled the borders. Pulling out of Europe, we were supposed to be able to control our borders. There are more people seeking asylum who are coming in via other routes than these boats. The boats are just highlighted because, unfortunately, people die. They're very visual on television.
Exactly,
the media can capture it. But nobody looks at the 2 and 3 and 4 people every flight who come in. And there's just been a big debate in the UK that people, they just ignore it, about, and I'll say it because I've said it and said it and said it, Indian students coming into the UK, and how many of them, when their visa finishes, don't return back to India. It's one of the biggest single routes and they are illegal immigrants. They are not asylum seekers. They're illegal immigrants. But because there's such a huge... They don't employ the people to catch the gangs that are operating the boats. They don't employ people to investigate the network in the UK of people who create a black market, who can take in all these people coming in and give them work and give them money and feed them and house them. It's funny, you know, you can house all these people coming over because they hide them in their houses, but you can't house the people living on the streets because there's no homes for them. Yeah, the Tories have got to end up wrong. I don't think Labour are doing enough to highlight what's going on. I seriously don't. I'm sceptical now about... I've been sceptical that they're going to win the election anyway, but I just don't think they're doing enough to hype it up. They're really banging the drum to say, when are the British people going to wake up to saying, never mind about these beauty contests that they keep having. This is a real general election coming up. It will make a real difference for the next 20 years in the UK, and people should be thinking about doing the right thing for a change.
Alf, as always, thank you very much, and good to have you back after the summer holidays, Alf, as the saying goes.
Summer holidays? I have long summer holidays, as you know.
Exactly.
I'm retired.
Alf, as always, thanks very much for your call in there. Take care, my friend. Bye. 952 78 4000 is his phone number. Take a quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown. And it's live to the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, it's Jason. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm not so bad, actually. Asylum seekers are not cattle, okay? They're people. People flee places because there's a problem. Yes, not going to the first country you come to and selecting where you go is a problem. So there are often genuine reasons. As for Indians, my best friend is worth £500 million, and he's Indian, and he started off with £1,000 in his pocket. So he's obviously worked hard. So should never single out different cultures because we're all part of one humanity. Having said that, I'm not saying people shouldn't be helped, but I think it's an absolute disgrace that there are so many ex-forces people with PTSD on the streets of Liverpool. You go see them there, homeless, Belfast, any part of Britain. Yeah. Okay? So what I'm saying is not that we shouldn't help people, but we should also help our own people as well. Because all this does, it creates a sense of injustice and rage, enrages people inside. The problem, of course, is on a much higher level, because on a global scale, our civilization is collapsing, probably collapsing the year, I think, about 2045, 2050.
I've heard it's 2036.
No, about 2045.
Oh, I think it's 2036.
No, it'd be beyond our lifetime, but anybody with grandchildren, it might concern them. And as stated before, it's on many levels. This is just one social upheaval level. Conflicts, wars, dictatorships, that's one side. The other side is economic, environmental, diseases, viruses. Everything is converging to a point, and it has to do in a way, because there will be 10 billion people on the planet which can only support 3.5 billion, 4 billion. So it's a necessary evil that everything has to collapse to rebuild again, and it's the way that the balance is restored, because you cannot have infinite economic growth in the capitalist model with finite natural resources. The biggest cause of death in Asia is air pollution. So the alarm bells should start ringing in people's minds.
Right.
And so all these things are linked. Environmental, population in flux globally. It's because our civilization is starting to unravel. I don't think the dollar will be the base currency for much longer.
Okay.
even the dollar will collapse eventually. There's so much in debt in America.
Right.
The Federal Reserve keeps printing money. So it's all like a big balloon, like it's a whole model which will burst. And future wars will be fought over food and water. Wow. And that's the way it's going when it becomes self-preservation. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Jason. Just got some more bits. Thank you for your call in there. Rishi Sunak, I want to see, just tweeted, I want to see more homes built. It's also what local communities want. But sometimes hangover EU laws get in the way. It's not right. I'm cutting the red tape to unlock thousands of new homes, and I'm setting up action to protect our environment. So there you go. Rishi Sunak says he's going to have more homes. If you want to get involved with today's show, we've got about 20 minutes left. Here are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then, yes, we're just having a go, those nasty EU laws.
It really pisses me off.
Oh yeah, the microphone was live, by the way, but thanks for that. You see, because you want to have a new home next to a stinking pile of sewage, don't you? Let's face it. Who doesn't want a 2 up, 2 down with Thames water?
Everything they can to just destroy.
Do you see the mics are live? Just to let you know, Al, just in case you want to say anything else. Yes, go on.
Another example of spin. This is just pure spin. Blame the EU laws for this, and then we're going to solve it.
The migrants won't be able to get out the rivers and the boats. You see, that's the plan. It's all interlinked, as you just heard. Pollute the rivers. Yeah, if it's full of effluents, then the migrants won't come up on the small boats, and Suella Braverman can tag them all and
that'll solve the problem.
Have them, but you have to get them into Rwanda before 2045.
Because the world ends then.
And that's 8:45, just so you know. So therefore, if you're making plans for 9:00 tonight, and Jason says cancel them. Let's have a look at some of the headlines that we've got going on. Sorry, just having it's back to school, you see. Looking at some bits and pieces coming in from you, and thank you very much for sending in. Good morning to Elizabeth. Good morning, Liz, over in Brighton. Hi there. These airport problems. Of course, there are delays because of those pesky EU. No, it's not. It's some computer glitch. It's called progress. These computer thingies, and I like a bit of technical, so thank you, Liz, because these computer thingies will make everything easier and better for everyone, quote unquote. Good to see that's true. Stay safe, take care, lots of love. To you too, Liz. It's been a while, and I was getting a little bit concerned, but it's good to know that you are still keeping a check on the WhatsApps of Brighton, if you'll pardon the expression. Now I was going to say something else, but meanwhile, back to the WhatsApps right then. What we got? We've got my husband. Good morning to you. My husband. All right. The abnormal blood pressure result would surely prompt you to contact your own doctor. My husband had high blood pressure for years without knowing it. Meanwhile, another one said, Paul says, a blood pressure checks. Nice PR headlines, but would need supporting processes. If you go to your barber's for a haircut and a blood pressure check, you should take the blood pressure measurements twice, 5 to 8 minutes apart, as the second reading tends to be more accurate. It should be supported with a simple educational pack that says if it's borderline or high, refer yourself to a nurse or similar medical contact for advice, and then further referral if needed. Has any of this been discussed or planned? Nope. Another day, another empty newspaper PR headline. Meanwhile, Sharon made a good point. This is from Ian in Camberley. Sharon made a good point. The immigration policy by this government is just a dead cat thrown onto the table and red meat for the right-wing press. It deviates the voters' attention from all its others' failures. Good balance of viewpoints today. Thank you, Ian. If you want to get your viewpoint across to us, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And good morning to D in London. Good morning, Mr. B. ULEZ starts today. 46. This is the congestion charge into the UK. into the UK, into London, Greater London. 46% of Londoners don't drive, and only 10% of cars will have to pay. So a small minority are put out with their £2,000 scrappage allowance out of my council taxes. If you're wondering if this will scupper, this is because it can't. This is, you know, people are saying this is going to be the end of Khan in London as the mayor. If you're wondering if this will scupper his election chances, mayoral chances, Oddschecker puts all the betting companies together and to find the best odds. And at the moment, Mr. Khan is 1 to 4 on. Ms. Hall is nearest to 5 to 1. Mr. Cox is 150 to 1. I can't see the bookies being that wrong. Also, Sadiq Khan gives all over 60-year-old residents free tube, bus, and rail cards. So why drive? Ooh, okay. That's a good one, yeah. Disabled and non-compliant car users are also getting another 2 years grace from ULEZ. It's a vote winner. Have yourself a great day, panel. Andy's only sent me the Oddschecker site. Thank you very much for that one, Dee. I know that you enjoy your time in London because you're sending me pictures of various paths that you go on. So there you go. Free bus, tube, and for the over 60. You're nodding at me.
Yeah, I know. I wish I was. If I was still living in London, I would.
Yeah, you'd be herring around that,
exactly.
You know.
Well, we have free bus for the residents in Marbella.
Yeah, I know that, but you can't go anywhere because the buses are stuck in the bleeding traffic, mate.
Well, that's not the point.
It's all very well.
You can sit on a bus for free if you want to, and go nowhere.
Aircon and go and watch people in their and look at. Actually, it's that entertainment, isn't it? You can sit there and watch see the queue, meet your neighbours, see who's crashed what, check up on the latest car deals. See what the baby gang, what the well-heeled drug dealer is driving this year.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, really in this weather that getting on the bus, which is air conditioned, and just keeping going around in a loop, take your book with you and enjoy, and a flask of tea.
This may be the thing in London because obviously because of London, because of the heating bills, you can get on the tube, you can be round around the district line all day, keep yourself warm.
Yes.
I'm being a little bit flippant there, obviously. 952 78 4000, the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official. What we haven't touched on is the head of the Wagner Group. Of course, John Sweeney, who I obviously interview with now and again on this show, said in a tweet, if I was projected, I wouldn't stand by any open windows, and I wouldn't get on any private airplanes. And thus it came to pass that he got on a private airplane, and it fell out of the sky. But, these things tend to happen, don't they, to people coming up against Putin? I think it's the 7th General who criticised him also had a fatal heart attack, or a medical procedure went horrendously wrong. Any thoughts on that, Andres, with the Prigozhin's death? I mean, did we not see this coming? I mean, if you launch a coup against Vladimir Putin, if you stand against Putin and it goes wrong, you can we know the way this plans out, yeah?
Yeah. Look, my first thought when the news came out, I thought, is it real? I had my doubts, I still have my doubts. I don't know. It's a war of propaganda, and it's very difficult to know what really is happening in behind the scenes. All we know here is that the war goes on. I predicted it would be a long war, like in the war in Afghanistan was, and there's a lot of interest involved in geopolitics because of this war, and I don't know what to think. I can't form an opinion without knowing exactly what's going on, and I don't know it, and I don't think anybody does. So sorry to leave you there so vague, but that's my take on this.
Yes, I mean I was talking to my son about it, and I said yes, but was Prigozhin actually on that jet?
Well, that's this. But why would Putin want to keep him alive? You mean, unless we don't think it's Putin's work. But if he's going to go undercover, I mean, he'd gone to Moscow because Putin's cutting Wagner's. Because people are talking about Wagner in Ukraine, but they've got a huge influence, or they've got huge operations in West Africa.
Yeah.
And he'd gone back to say, stop mucking around with us in West Africa, because we're shooting and looting as much as we possibly can. And let's not get carried away with the thing that the head of the Wagner Group is some sort of is some sort of guy for justice, because he's not. He's a war criminal, basically. I mean,
mercenary.
But yeah,
he's mercenary. He does it for money.
Yeah, but also the way that he, the people he recruited, the stuff that Wagner got up to, are some horrendous and extremely grim atrocities have been carried out by Wagner Group. So it's not as if he's some sort of. It's not as if he's an opposition figure in the Parliament, for example. And obviously the conspiracy theories are going to start up because that's what happens in the 21st century. Something happens, and it's a conspiracy theory. Did he really kiss up? So therefore, how do we know? How do we know sure that it hasn't been? Anyway, but. Immediately people say, unless they can actually see a picture of him, and even then it could be a body double, and we've had this before as well. So you're kind of on a hiding to nothing, aren't you, basically?
Yes, I think that's been basically with a lot of the press that comes out of Russia. You can look at it any number of ways and still not arrive at something that you think might be the truth.
952-788-4000. This in from on the WhatsApps, +34 645 99 67 95. Hi, Giles. Somebody somewhere once mentioned, that's a good opening gambit, maybe get the Navy involved in patrolling the channel to deter the incoming. I know it's not their job as yet, but give it time when the UK runs out of ideas. Possibly the best of the worst plans ever. Simple. So that's from Max. To get Braverman probably wants to start depth charging, the boats or something, or mine La Manche. But the Navy got enough on it. Well, you see, this is the thing. You cannot cut back. Actually, and this is something I'll come back on to Jason's as well. I'm rambling now, but you can't cut back on the armed services and then expect them to do twice the work. So because they always think we have the best the British are always saying we have the best armed forces in the world, and then they cut them back, and then they decide that cyber is going to be the next big thing, and then something breaks out in terms of a land war, and we haven't got half the troops that we need. So to say to the Royal Navy, oh, by the way, would you mind? Because we didn't the Conservative government create Border Force, which was kind of a thing that was supposed to be dealing with this, and they all got snazzy new uniforms, etc., which was a sort of.
But what's the Navy going to do differently? Because you're obliged to, by international maritime law, to rescue a boat in distress, which is
probably.
I mean, the UK you have no choice of saying, well, you're going to bomb them out or something. I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, presumably they want the Royal Navy to take on that again. Like every time the firemen strike, they want to get the army to stand in as well. So that's an interesting one about getting the Navy involved. Possibly wouldn't go down too well. The other thing is that Jason said about. And I hear this when they were interviewing people in the street was it Poole, wasn't it? The Bibby was in Weymouth, and about the boat, and people were saying, well, we should be looking after our own first, and there are veterans on the streets sleeping rough. But that's not a direct result of people coming to the UK. That's a result of a failure of a social care and housing system thing.
That's precisely. Correct, yeah. Exactly. But the press, it's become conflated, the argument, and so that an awful lot of the right-wing British press are kind of directing people into thinking that soldiers, veterans on the street are a direct result of immigration. And it's not.
Yeah.
But it has become, that's the narrative that's being pushed.
Going to take a short break and then back with more Viewpoint. Right then, hi there. Nobody mentioned depth charges, etc. This is me making a flippant comment. Just the mere presence of the Navy around the coast is enough to show that no one is coming in without permission. The UK is overrun with illegals. It's too late already, quote unquote. Thank you, Max. Meanwhile, Gary, good morning, Gary. Point is, as priority, ex-servicemen and women should be catered for first, offered accommodation, etc. first. Okay, but you have to get to, as we were saying before, you have to locate the servicemen. I don't go up the road saying anybody want a house, but this whole situation that this is the thing that was being said is that people are being, the UK government can't even find half the people that are in the UK who are entering the UK. Never mind house them. To so suggest that the UK is giving refugees priority first is perhaps something that isn't exactly true. Meanwhile, looking at some other bits coming in, Jason, it is equally wrong not to take care of humanity on all sides, be it migrants or soldiers. I don't listen to the press, especially BBC News. Thank you, Jason. Panel.
I am surprised at hearing about the servicemen. I didn't know that, but because I imagine the army and the navy and so on would have a process to follow, helping integrating people to civilian life after their service, especially those who have been on the front line in a war, and you've been to a few. Doesn't the army have got a process to integrate servicemen into civilian life and help them to sort of get on their feet in that sense? I'm surprised that that's not in place. And if there is in place, why are people escaping the net and getting themselves into that situation? At the end of the day, they've been loyal to the country. Their service should be somehow rewarded, and help should be, available.
This is so, Andreas, and yet we constantly hear stories on British television, in the British press, about members of the armed forces, particularly those who have been on tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan recently, many suffering from PTSD as well. That's another big issue. And it seems that it feels like they're largely abandoned, especially those who are suffering the most. The rates of suicide rates are very high amongst members of the armed forces who've served. And it just seems that the Ministry of Defence, there must be a process in place, but they don't seem to be applying it in a proper manner, because otherwise, how come so many servicemen are suffering?
Are the numbers high? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Are we talking about?
Well, Gary's come in saying, I'm wobbling. Lack of coffee. Please research migrant servicemen at Napier Barracks. I've been there, seen it. Okay, again, you've got me on Napier Barracks. I don't know. Is that some? Let me know what that is, Gary, and I'll have a look at it. Yeah. Meanwhile, how about all asylum seekers and all those with visas are tagged, and then we know where the illegals are? Well, nobody's illegal. This is the thing. All right. And meanwhile, Jason says nonsense. It's all window dressing. That's why. Okay. Thanks for that. If you want to get your viewpoint in, we're into the last couple of minutes of the show, but...
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Andreas, you've got a point you want to bring up here.
No, I've just got 2 minutes, and you can drag it as.
Well, no, I was just looking at this.
I'm really hoping the mother of Rubiales.
Just bring it down, because
the mother of Rubiales, who's locked into this church,
yes,
it doesn't suffer too much from her hunger strike, and someone gets her, a nice plate of jamon or tortilla de patatas or something nice, so she can survive the event.
This might be a sort of material-based hunger strike, so therefore, because it's a nice day today, and but it looks at some of the pictures I've seen, the whole family are outside, so they probably bought some like as you said, a bit of tortilla with them as well.
Right.
Yeah, a bit of tortilla, just a plate of jamon.
Okay, panel. Do you think Rubiales will be in his job by this time next week?
No.
I think it's impossible for him to.
It is impossible. The pressure is too high. Although he could manage a legal wrangle to stay on, I don't think he's in a position to stay, because he's gonna be hit from left, right, and centre. So even Vox, Sharon, might release a statement soon.
Well, yeah, we're waiting for the Vox.
Better watch out for that one.
Well, but Vox, yes. Well, Vox are probably saying no women's football. That would be their as far as they would probably go with it, allegedly. Right then, almost out of time. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to bring you today's Viewpoint. Thank you for all the calls in, especially in that first hour. I think we've put the world to rights in terms of that kiss and protocol, etc. Of course, my panel, I think to thank my panel, who have behaved with protocol all the way through. Elle McKenzie, as always.
Thank you, Giles.
And Andrea Gallardo, once again.
Thank you very much, Giles. Thank you.
Not grabbing any part of your anatomy during the following. I will be back. I'll be back tomorrow with Let's Talk from 10 o'clock. This show will be repeated. We're at 7 o'clock as always. And thank you for the calls in. It's always great to be back in the Hot Seat Viewpoint with us next week as well. At Stephen Ritson, live from Cologne with Europe Today is up next. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Stephen Ritson joins us live from Cologne with Europe Today.
Views expressed on Viewpoint by invited studio guests and callers do not constitute an opinion endorsed in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.